I'm sure your dad's gonna want to pay that off, right?
There was no communication. Nothing was clear. You did the same exact thing to me. Karma's a
When Sister Wives star Janelle Brown and her daughter Maddie discuss the mortgage on Coyote Pass, Janelle remarks, "I'm sure your dad's going to want to pay that off." Right. Kiddo definitely understands how the cows eat the cabbage. My favorite moment was when she made air quotes while Janelle mentioned assets. What really stands out to me is when he described talking to her as fishing for gossip. Dude, that's your oldest daughter, or at least one of the oldest kids. Can't she know what's happening in your life or ask questions? I'm always involved in my parents' affairs. Asking about your parents' plans and activities is considered gossip to him, which is just wild. As the older kids grow into adulthood, they're starting to recognize Kody's true nature. He despises that most of his children can see right through him and don't like what they find. It's not that the kids are being swayed by Janelle and Christine. They're simply realizing his true colors. When they attempt to confront him and call him out on his nonsense, he tries to manipulate both them and the situation, just like he did with the original 3 wives. He always blames them, never himself. Kody fails to recognize any fault in his actions. While the original 3 wives have their flaws, he certainly has his own. Until Kody accepts responsibility for how he's alienated the kids, none of his relationships with them will ever be mended. Hey there, amazing people! Welcome back to Reality Nexus X. I'm Elena, and I'm excited to dive into some fascinating topics with you today. Let's get started. However, honestly, if the reality star Meri Brown told Kody Brown she didn't like spearmint, then why would he still give it to her? I really don't find this dramatic on Meri's part at all. It just seems like he should have listened to what his wife said. I mean, heaven forbid a woman wants her spouse or partner to know her preferences, right? My guy knows that when we order tacos, I want green sauce, not red. I told him once, 10 years ago when we first started dating. He prefers red, so he'll just ask for both from the sauce station, which is thoughtful. It shows that Kody often forgets these things. Most women don't get upset if someone normally thoughtful has a momentary lapse. But in Kody's case, this seems more like negligence and a constant disregard for what Meri wants. They've been together since they were young, even before kids. He should know her better by now. I remember a pastor at church once shared that his wife also hated spearmint. Whenever they went to a gas station, she'd ask for gum, but specify anything but spearmint, yet he'd still get her spearmint. They'd been married for about 20 years, and I thought, really? After all that time, he can't remember she dislikes just that one flavor of gum. It felt like a lesson in patience or acceptance, but even as a teenager, I was baffled by how he could forget something so simple for 2 decades. As well as, is anyone else looking forward to seeing Sister Wives star Kody Brown and Robyn Brown face financial difficulties and feeling that sweet taste of karma? I don't wish ill on anyone, especially on people I've never met. However, after this week's episode, I can't help but hope that the original wives take Kody to court for everything he's got. It would be satisfying to see them struggle financially and end up broke. The only positive aspect of this season is how clearly it shows that both Kody and Robyn exploited and took advantage of the original 3 wives, and they managed to get away with it. It's infuriating. I'm still hoping that Sister Wives gets canceled, and they create a spin-off featuring only Meri, Christine, and Janelle. Additionally, Christine's pettiness was starting to bother me, but honestly, they deserve it. I believe they're already in financial trouble. None of Kody's investments will yield much. From what I gather, many of the paintings are prints instead of originals, and his car fleet has likely depreciated. Plus, he will have to compensate Meri and Janelle for the property. I think his worst fear of being poor has already come true, but they're so wrapped up in each other that they haven't realized it yet. Also in Hang On With Me, the reality star Robyn Brown discusses how Kody Brown is beginning to question aspects of her character and is frustrated with her and with everything and everyone else. Kody then states, "I'm going through a divorce. Give me time to get over it. I'll get over it, I think." This makes me wonder if Kody is coming to terms with his feelings about Robyn and his anger toward her for the demands she made that contributed to Christine's departure. I believe Robyn wanted Christine out of the picture. Christine didn't seem to bring in as much income as Mary and Janelle, and she was not very accommodating when it came to Robyn joining the family. Unlike the others, Christine didn't allow Robyn to take care of her children in the same way she did with everyone else's. You only need 3 wives to gain entry into the kingdom. Mary, although neglected, stayed in the marriage, while Janelle sought independence and was more agreeable. I think Robyn's true desire was to eliminate Christine from the family, even though Christine was the heart of it. Moreover, I don't think Robyn ever wanted any of the wives to leave. Instead, she wanted them to accept less, to remain while feeling neglected, so she could be the favored one. She intended for them to contribute financially to her lifestyle while serving as scapegoats for Kody's bad moods. With the other wives gone, he would eventually direct his frustrations at her children as a source of his dissatisfaction. Moreover, Janelle is essentially doing to Kody what he did to Mary, which is pretty amusing. Mary pointed this out during one of the talkbacks when she watched footage of Kody lamenting that he felt stuck with Janelle because she kept rejecting his attempts to reconcile while spending time with everyone except him and not officially ending their relationship. I appreciate that this parallel was revisited in Season 19, Episode 2, highlighting the similarities between these two relationships. I also liked how Janelle made it clear that her relationship with Kody is different from Christine's. What I find most fascinating is the distinct personalities and dynamics among all of them. Was it always Janelle? Does anyone else think that Kody's true love has always been Janelle? No, Kody's one true love has always been himself. I recall Kody mentioning that Janelle would always be his best friend. He said they loved being around each other, could talk for hours, and truly enjoyed each other's company. I think he's starting to realize now that he's lost his best friend for good, and all he has left for consolation is Robyn. They used to have deep, intellectual conversations and genuinely appreciated each other's presence. He messed it up and now has to have real talks with Robyn. I can guarantee that if he hadn't damaged his relationship with Janelle's kids, she might have stayed. She witnessed the harm he was inflicting on them and couldn't tolerate it any longer. Watching how he treated Mary was one thing, but then he did the same to Christine and her children. This week, Janelle even stated that she would ensure Mary got her share of prairie dog shit pass because she deserves it. After all the years of tension between them, Janelle recognized how poorly Kody treated Mary and realized that she and her children were not safe from his behavior. It must be infuriating for Kody that Janelle sees everything clearly now and wants to leave. He is the issue. I don't personally believe in the concept of one true love. However, I do think that Kody and Janelle shared the most natural and honest relationship. They were also best friends. What's interesting about them is that they converted to the AUB as adults. Had the timing been different, they might have met and married as LDS monogamists. Plus, I'm sorry, but if I have to suffer, then so should everyone else. I think this might be the most uncomfortable scene in the entire show. This guy is just so off-putting at his core. I can't even imagine going on a date with him. Watching this scene genuinely makes me cringe. To be honest, this is the one moment where I really judge Janelle. After the way he has repeatedly treated her children, neglecting and disrespecting them, how can she still go on a date with him? The only silver lining I can find is the comfort in knowing that Robyn must have been upset watching this scene and realizing he was acting like a young teenager with a crush on Janelle. Moreover, I hope Sister Wives star Janelle Brown takes Robyn Brown down. I literally shouted at the TV when Robyn made that ridiculous comment about the other wives not budgeting properly. How dare she? I hope Janelle watches that scene and decides to join the lawsuit. Another quick vent. Robyn's daughters seem just as awful as she is, whiny and insincere. Robyn claimed the McMansion was a family asset and should be sold as such. I hope Janelle and the others capitalize on that. Robyn said it on camera in front of millions. It's too late to backtrack. I really hope they take action before the money disappears. She didn't budget. She had a husband who favored her and gave her everything. That woman hardly worked throughout the entire 19 seasons. Seriously, MSWC wasn't her original designs. She even had Dayton make the initial questionable decisions. Sorry, Dayton, but that's the truth. She wanted the other wives to participate in trade shows and complained when they weren't interested in something that was her idea and seemed pointless. A gym would have made much more financial sense. Additionally, the reason she didn't accumulate debt is that the family covered it. She's a shopaholic, and her house is proof of that. So maybe she should refrain from lecturing others about budgeting when she clearly doesn't understand what it means. Additionally, was Robyn trying to manipulate Mary? After Robyn had Solomon, she asked to speak with Mary privately. I initially thought she was going to ask Mary to be his godmother or something similar, which might be part of their faith. But then, when Robyn announced that she wanted to be Mary's surrogate, I was shocked. I literally turned my head in disbelief. It seemed so out of place and inappropriate, especially since Mary was there just to celebrate Robyn and her new baby. This felt like one of Robyn's most manipulative moves. She was aware that Mary had mixed feelings about having another child, yet she put her on the spot to make that decision on camera. It seemed like a calculated effort to enhance her saintly image in Kody's eyes. Later on, when Mary expressed her sadness about only having one child, Robyn coldly remarked, "You had your chance." However, David's house is up for sale. Christine recently posted a link to the house David is selling, and it's clear that everyone is making significant financial decisions to secure their futures. With Robyn and Kody's house, Garrison's place, and now David's on the market, it's all quite telling. I can envision Janelle listing Garrison's home soon too. David and Christine have built a new house and are embarking on a new chapter, which makes sense. It wouldn't surprise me if Kody and Robyn decided to sell theirs as well, especially given the changes in their income. Kody even had the nerve to comment on how wonderful things were during their time in Las Vegas. Well, no surprise there. His so-called brilliant ideas have torn the family apart. In their terms, it might be unsafe to try and fix something they shattered. Christine should go after the child support she's entitled to and make sure he's held accountable. She should also demand that he covers health insurance. Also, the reality star Kody Brown deceived Janelle Brown. Before and after their marriage, Kody frequently complains about how Mary tricked him, but I came across a telling quote from Janelle in Becoming Sister Wives. "My father died when I was 2 years old, and my mother remarried. However, my stepfather was not a hands-on dad. He was distant and emotionally unavailable. Eventually, my mother divorced him. I knew that when I got married and had children, I wanted a man who would be actively involved in every aspect of their lives." It seems Janelle was searching for a father figure rather than just a partner. It's heartbreaking that she ended up with someone who merely pretended to fulfill that role. I don't believe for a second that Kody was genuinely different back then. He was just performing to feed his narcissistic needs, ultimately resembling her stepfather. The wives and children have all remarked on how Kody's involvement in their lives has changed over time. He was much closer to the older 8 children than he was to the younger 5 from the original group. Janelle's children seem to benefit the most from his earlier involvement. In my opinion, failing to recognize Kody's shift in behavior undermines the pain experienced by the original kids, especially Gabe, Garrison, and Maddie. Those kids remember Kody driving to Wyoming when he lived in Utah, or taking them out for errands to spend one-on-one time together. Gabe felt distressed when he stopped having daily conversations with his father, and not receiving a birthday call was a clear indication that things had changed. Garrison made an effort to keep Kody updated about his life. What makes Kody a poor father isn't a lack of knowledge on how to be involved. It's that he was aware of what was needed and chose to do less. He actively decided to hurt and abandon his children. Furthermore, in the latest episode, Kody Brown expresses that he doesn't want to petition the church for a divorce from Mary, citing his disdain for it and his unwillingness to submit to its authority or adhere to its beliefs. However, he has previously claimed that religious doctrine prevents him from leaving a marriage, and that he has no choice but to remain. So which is it? Either he respects the authority of his church and its policies, or he doesn't. Mary was correct when she pointed out that Kody tries to push the wives away so he can avoid being the bad guy. His refusal to take this step for Mary feels like just another way for him to be inconsiderate towards her. It's ironic, too, because this was the same excuse Robyn used last season to argue that Christine shouldn't simply walk away from the marriage. As well as, why do I still expect Kody Brown to reflect? In the latest episode, Kody states, "They, Christine, Janelle, Mary, made choices that separated us. And maybe I made choices that separated us." But then, without missing a beat, he quickly adds, "But they eventually moved on." By saying, "Maybe I made choices to separate us," he thinks he's owning up to his mistakes, but the "but" completely undermines any accountability. It's almost impossible for him to genuinely admit his faults. It makes me want to hit him over the head with a 2x4. He believes he's being mature and taking the high road, yet he shows the emotional maturity of a toddler. We all know he's unlikely to change. At his age, change seems impossible. He discusses his wives leaving him, but he never addresses how he abandoned his children during a pandemic. Where was the support for them during such a frightening time? It's far too easy for him to lay all the blame on the wives. Just once, I'd like to hear him acknowledge that he was an absentee father and perhaps overreacted during that period. If he were to take responsibility for anything, he might actually earn some sympathy. Everyone makes mistakes. It's part of being human. What we want is for him to admit his actions, seek forgiveness, and try to make things right. However, for him to truly admit he was wrong about anything would mean acknowledging fault, and that's something he will never do. Moreover, evidence 4.5 million of Kody's issues in this episode. Kody receives a laptop for his birthday, and his lack of enthusiasm is striking. The family is shocked that he isn't excited, especially since it was the most expensive option available. Robyn, however, comments that she knew he wouldn't be thrilled. When Christine jokes about his expression while opening the gift, the whole family laughs, including Kody. But Robyn looks irritated that Christine is vocalizing her annoyance, and that everyone finds it funny. You can tell from her reaction that she probably later told Kody he shouldn't let Christine make fun of him, claiming it's disrespectful. It's clear she's been a driving force behind these changes from the start. I have a theory about this. Kody has always spent a lot of time at Robyn's place, and often blamed his need to work on having his office there. He's mentioned that Robyn was the only one who created space for him to have an office, which was likely just a stationary computer. This gift from the wives could be interpreted as their way of saying, "See, now you can work from anywhere." Kody and Robyn probably dislike this idea because it removes their excuse for his daily presence at her house. His ungratefulness was glaring, and Robyn took advantage of that moment to position herself as the wife who understood Kody, trying to benefit from the situation at the expense of the other wives. Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear whether you agree or disagree. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell for future updates. Your feedback is important, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.